There is a truth that many people underestimate, yet it quietly shapes every part of life. Everything you do speaks about you, even when you think no one is watching. Not just the big decisions, not just the public moments, but the small choices, the private behavior, the way you treat people when there is no reward, no audience, no consequence, you can immediately see. Because life is not built on isolated actions, it is built on patterns, and patterns reveal character more clearly than words ever could. It is not a matter of luck or destiny, it is coherence. What you give, sooner or later finds a way to return, not in a mystical sense, but in a practical one. Because what you consistently put into the world shapes how the world responds to you. Trust, respect, opportunity, distance, connection, none of these appear randomly. They form through repetition, through behavior, through the quiet accumulation of how you act when no one is keeping score. And over time, that accumulation becomes your reputation, your environment, your reality. Even actions that seem hidden are never truly invisible in their effects. Evil does not always return as immediate punishment. It is rarely dramatic in the beginning. It does not always announce itself. Instead, it leaves a trace. It accumulates slowly in the background of your life, in the way people begin to perceive you differently, in the trust that quietly weakens over time, in the opportunities that stop arriving without explanation, in the relationships that feel less open than they once were. It is not a sudden consequence, it is a gradual erosion, not a single event, but a long pattern of small outcomes that eventually shape your path. And by the time it becomes obvious, it has already been building for a long time. Envy works in a different way, but it is just as destructive and more silent. Envy does not primarily harm the person it is directed at, it harms the person who carries it. Because when your attention is constantly fixed on what others have, what others achieve, what others become, you slowly disconnect from your own direction. You stop building your life, you start measuring it against someone else's. And that comparison becomes a constant internal pressure, a quiet dissatisfaction that never fully goes away. Over time, that becomes frustration, not because your life has no value, but because your focus has been placed outside of it. And a mind that always looks outward rarely finds peace within. Then there is lying. At first, it often feels harmless, even useful, a quick solution, a way to avoid discomfort, a way to control perception. But lying is not a single act, it is a system that expands. One lie requires another to support it, then another to protect that one, and soon you are no longer maintaining a truth, you are maintaining a structure that becomes heavier with every attempt to keep it standing. Because the more versions of yourself you create, the more energy it takes to hold them together. And eventually, something shifts. The effort of maintaining the illusion becomes greater than the discomfort of facing reality. And in that moment, something important is lost. Not just credibility with others, but clarity within yourself. Because you are no longer living your life directly, you are managing a version of it. Love, however, functions differently. It does not operate through strategy or calculation. It is not something you optimize. It is not something you negotiate into existence. It is either present or it is not. And when it is genuine, it does not need to be measured or controlled. It is expressed, freely, directly, without a hidden agenda. And what is given from that place does not disappear. It leaves a mark on the person who receives it and on the person who gives it. Because genuine actions always shape both sides of the exchange. Life itself does not function like an immediate reward system. It is not instant. It is not linear. It is not always fair in the short term. but it does operate as an accumulative reflection. What you repeat becomes your reality, not what you intend occasionally, but what you consistently do. Your habits, your reactions, your choices when no one is correcting you, when no one is rewarding you, when no one is watching. Those are the things that build your life more than anything else, not intention, action, and repetition. That is what forms direction, and eventually direction becomes destiny in a very practical sense. Because life responds more to behavior than to explanation. The world does not adjust itself based on what you say, it adjusts based on what you do. And this is where many people misunderstand how consequences actually work. There is no need for life to be fair in a theatrical way for patterns to still exist. Patterns are enough. Consistency is enough. Repetition is enough. And the accumulation of those things becomes undeniable over time. That is why it is often said that life is like a wheel, not because it is random, but because it turns through motion. And what you put into motion eventually returns in form. The wheel does not distinguish excuses from truth. It does not interpret speeches. It does not evaluate intentions. It turns based on action. And when it comes back, it does not ask whether you were ready for it. It does not pause for explanation. It simply presents you with what you placed into it, what you chose to build, what you chose to repeat, what you chose to give. And in that moment, everything becomes clear. Not because life suddenly changes, but because the results of what was already happening finally arrive in visible form. That is why awareness matters. Not fear, not superstition, but awareness of patterns, awareness of behavior, awareness of what you are consistently creating without even noticing. Because in the end, life does not need to judge you, it only reflects you. And what it reflects is always shaped by what you choose to do when no one is watching. If you love this video, make sure to like this and subscribe to this channel for more content like this.